Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be my how I got accepted to my dream university video, as well as how I got into every university I applied to. So I loved watching these videos in grades like 9, 10, 11, 12. Basically, I love watching these videos. I watched so many because I always kind of wanted to get an idea of what grades, what classes I should take, what extracurriculars I should do. So today I'm going to be sharing all of that with you guys today. Basically everything that I did that I think helps me get into my dream school. So I actually did just post my college decisions reactions video. That was my last video. So if you guys haven't seen that yet, I will put the link to that video down below in the description so you guys can see my reaction to getting into my dream university, as well as everywhere else, and as well as my friends and family's reaction to all those things. So it's pretty fun videos, so I will link that down below in the description, as well as I'm going to be doing a college Q&A right away, where I'm answering your guys' questions about college, all that stuff. So if you do have any questions, definitely leave them in the comments below, and I will be sure to include them in the questions video. Anyway, that was a really long intro, I'm sorry. But without further ado, let's get right on into the video. I'm going to be sharing with you guys everything that I did to get into my dream university. First, I'm going to be starting out with telling you guys all of the classes that I did take in grade 11 and 12. So basically, I'm going to try to keep this as general as possible because I know not everyone lives where I live, and all these places have different names. Like I know some places will call like the highest level math like math 12 or math 30 or wherever, like they all have different names. So I'm just gonna say, like, for example, I'll say like the highest level math, just to keep it as general as possible so this can help as many people as possible and not just the people living close to where I live. So for my grade 11 classes, I did take physics, chemistry, and biology in grade 11, as well as I took the highest grade 11 math because I knew that I was going to need math for what I was getting into. Also, I probably should have said what I applied to. I applied to the Bachelor of Science Psychology program, so this was a lot of science related courses, I guess. But if you were applying to a different program, you might not necessarily need this many science or math courses. This is just personally for my program. So I took all the sciences and the highest level math, as well as I took the highest level English and the highest level social studies, which I guess is kind of equivalent to like history, I guess, where in some other places, but we just call it social studies. So those are all the classes I took, as well as I took 2 psychology courses. I took general psychology and personal psychology. That was actually just more of an interest thing for me. I really liked it. I'm not sure if it had any influence on me getting accepted or anything, but that is what I took. As for my grade 12 classes, last semester in semester 1, I took the highest level social studies, physics, and biology, and then this semester I'm currently taking calculus, chemistry, and the highest level English. I did take the highest level math that is not calculus. I actually took that in my second semester of grade 11, and the reason why I do mention this is because I do believe that that did have a factor taking a grade 12 class in grade 11, because when I applied for early admission, so basically they only had my grade 11 grades. They knew what grade 12 class I was taking, but they didn't have any of my grades for them. So I know this is going to be a little bit different wherever you're from, but this is just personally how it worked out for me. So I had to say all my grade 11 grades, but then I was also able to put a grade 12 class on my little grade summary, and that I think really helps because they saw how I was doing in a grade 12 class and I did well in that class. So then they saw that I did well in a grade 12 class, so then I think that it kind of gave them a little bit more confidence in me, knowing that I was going to do well in the grade 12 classes that I was currently enrolled in. I don't know if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. But those were all the classes that I did take in grade 11 and 12. And I'm going to tell you my grades in those courses just because I know that that is helpful, because I was always wondering like what I should have in certain classes to get into university. So I'm just going to start with grade 11. I'm going to try to remember all these the best I can. In grade 11 English, I had an 86%. In grade 11 social studies, I had a 91%, I believe. In grade 11 math, I had a 92%. In grade 11 bio and chem, both of them I had a 90%. And in grade 11 physics, I had a 88%. And then in my 2 psychology classes, I think I had high 90s because they were fairly easy, mostly because I was interested in them and it wasn't too hard of a class. So it was more of like an option credit. Oh, and I also forgot to mention that I did take French in grades 11 and 12, and I got somewhere in the high 80s in both of those classes. But then for my grade 12 classes, in grade 12 math, I got 87%. In grade 12 physics, I got 88%. In grade 12 biology, I got a 93. And then in grade 12, what other class did I take? Social studies, I had a 91. So those were my classes that I've done so far. Obviously calculus, chemistry, and English, I don't have a grade for that yet, but those are the ones I'm currently enrolled in, and those were my marks in the classes that I did have. But when I was applying, just keep in mind that the only ones they saw were all the grade 11 marks as well as the grade 12 math mark. They didn't see the grade 12 social studies, the grade 12 physics, or the grade 12 biology. Sorry, it's so hard to keep track of all these things. Yeah, so they didn't see any of those courses yet. I do have to submit those grades, but I did just get my first semester grades back, so that's why they haven't seen them yet. However, I did get admitted without having to show those grades, but I just thought I'd share that for a little bit of a reference. Now I'm going to share with you guys my extracurriculars and the things that I did outside of the classroom, because I know, especially now, depending on the university that you are applying to, they can really value this outside of the classroom stuff. So a job, sports, clubs, volunteering, things like that. I know personally UBC, which is a school that I am going to in the fall, they really valued your extracurriculars. You had to write a lot about your extracurriculars, everything you did outside the classroom. That was a very difficult part of the application, but I think it really helps me to get in, because your grades are good, but they really don't reflect who you are as a person. So I think it's great that a lot more schools, as much of a pain as it is to write these essays, is actually taking the time to read these essays and not just evaluating you based on your grades or your grade point average or whatever. Personally, for me, the most notable extracurriculars is I have had a job basically since I was 14. I have worked quite a bit, so I made sure to write about that, because they do, a lot of people think that a job doesn't count as an extracurricular, but it definitely does. I wrote about that and I got accepted, so, and they do say that you can write about a job. I know it depends on the university, but most times the job is counted. The other thing that I thought was really great in helping me get in is volunteer experience. I know a lot of students don't necessarily do this or think about this, and I really think having a good amount of volunteer experience on your application is really gonna make your application stand out compared to others. So I personally volunteered at a senior care home for the past year and almost a year and a half, I would say, and that was really great for me to write on my application, because at the time that I was applying, I had been volunteering there very consistently for a year. So that was really great to have on my application, because a lot of students will have volunteering, but maybe they only volunteered somewhere one time, or maybe they only volunteer like once every 2 months, things like that. And I understand it's so busy being a high school student finding time to volunteer, but I personally think it's very important, especially if you know that your dream school, the schools that you're applying to, require extracurricular activities, because this really helps you to stand out. I was also a part of 2 clubs at my school, the first one being the Health and Wellness Club. So the Health and Wellness Club, I joined it at the start of grade 11, and I was just a member in grade 11. However, in grade 12, I was kind of like the oldest member of the club and the one who had been there the longest, because everyone else in the club had graduated. So I was like the leader of the club, I guess. We kind of decided on that I would be the leader. So I think that really helped me, because it did show good leadership skills. I guess colleges really look at that. So even if you're not the leader of a club, just joining a club at your school is really great. But personally, I did the club for a year, and then now currently this year I am leading the club. And then the other club that I was in was a club at my school, or not wasn't, I'm still currently in it actually, but is a club basically where you basically volunteer as a club. So it's kind of a 2-in-1. It is a club at your school, so you're getting involved in your school, but it's also volunteer work. So you kind of do volunteer work in the community to raise money for a certain project, and that is the other club that I was a part of. But even if you're part of student council, or I'm trying to think of other school clubs, like if your school has like a debate team, anything like that where you're getting just involved in your school and your community is great to have. I talked about both of those on my application, and I felt that it really helped me stand out, because I was able to lead one club and then also participate in community leadership in the other, which was great. The other extracurricular that I did write down on my application was that I do aerial yoga. I will just put a picture, because I don't really know how to explain it with words, and I know a lot of people always ask me like what that is. So like, this is what that is. So basically at aerial yoga, it is just, I wrote about how it was a way for me to be creative and to be physically active, which is true. It's kind of like dancing but with silks and it's really, really cool and fun. And I was able to write about that quite a bit on my application, which I thought really rounded out my application because I talked about work, volunteer, clubs, and then something athletic. And I'm not really a sporty person, so I was really worried about that because I know a lot of times they look at like you being well-rounded, like I just mentioned, and I was like, what am I going to write about? I don't do sports. But I thought it ended up working out really, really well. So even if you don't do sports, if you just like to work out at the gym or something, or work out at home, I think I did end up talking about that at some point on my application. And if you guys want me to do a video where I actually go through my whole application and all the essays that I wrote and stuff, because I know I'm kind of like vaguely mentioning them, if you guys would like to see me actually read them aloud to you guys and point out what I think was really important in me getting in, I can definitely do a video on that. If you guys want like more specific answers. But basically I just wrote about how aerial yoga, working out, things like that. So you don't have to be like a part of the football team or a part of the volleyball team or anything like that. If that's not your thing, don't worry about it. You can write about things that you just do on your own to be physically active, and that's totally fine as an extracurricular. So that is going to be all for my video. I really hope that this helped you guys. If you are a high school student like me and you were wondering what you needed to get into university, obviously, like I did mention in the beginning, it is going to vary between university to university and program to program. This was just for my program and the universities that I applied to, but these are the things that I did to get accepted. So I really hope that this helped you guys, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye!